YouTube Muscly folks, what's up? I am on my tendonitis recovery program right now, dealing with it in both shoulders and in both sides of my right elbow. So the heaviest weights I handled today were like around 170. I didn't really push it too hard. We're doing Madcow 5x5. I just started the program. It starts with abundantly lightweight anyway, so I figured that'd be a great way to make progress while I am recovering those tendons. Because on a certain level for me, squatting, there's a little bit of some flaws in my back squat form. Notice the enormous amount of butt wink I get when I get super deep. I think I need to get better at bracing. Also have some problems with knees kind of collapsing at the bottom, and I just sort of fall all apart at the bottom on squats. So I'm really trying to work on that form by squatting 3 times a week now. And so increasing my frequency on squats is something that always makes my injury situation likely to take place if I'm not really careful. So the fact that I'm resetting to these low weights for Madcow 5x5 is going to really help me get this level of frequency on squats kind of get ramped up before it goes back to being heavy. That way the 3-day-a-week part won't injure me as I'm liable to do sometimes when I increase leg exercise frequency. Also on squats I've been dealing with issues with my shoulder because of the tendonitis, and because I use that lower bar kind of placement, it kind of hurts my shoulders a little bit. So not enough to really where it's a bad exercise to do, but enough to where if a weight, if I felt distracted by it, it could mess me up in terms of my focus. Now on the bench I had to be really careful because this was definitely dicey with the rotator cuff tendonitis. I had to just keep a really clean bar path and good form. I was not necessarily doing a great job at that today, but that was at least the goal. And to the extent that I was keeping it under control under the heavy weights is why I didn't feel any tension in my rotator cuff. But it was very clear that if I had one false move in terms of like unracking the weight or anything, and yeah, it could have been. So by staying at the top end set at being 170, I felt comfortable. That's not really a weight where there's any chance things are going to go haywire on 5 reps. Like I can just carefully press the weight perfectly with extreme focus. And I found sometimes when you do kind of focus on form really hard, you kind of need to lighten the weight, because when you focus that hard, you actually exhaust yourself much more easily with less weight, because you're thinking so hard about how perfect to do the form. And dodging tendonitis, where you'll get an immediate, really distracting sense of pain if you make a mistake, in terms of like putting tension where you shouldn't, makes you really stay honest to it on a certain level. If you're clear for exercise, it does make it on a certain level, like having to dodge tendonitis makes you hold iron perfect form. Now one mistake I made is I felt the reverse grip actually does not aggravate the particular elbow tendon that I'm worried about right now, and I just for some reason forgot and did regular old barbell row regular grip, and this was a mistake because I did feel some tension on it. It wasn't like enough to where it's still like right now the program I'm doing, I feel like it's challenging me because I've never done this frequency before, even though the weights are light. I feel like I get an adaptation from that, and meanwhile my tendons are getting better day by day. Like they're feeling less pain day by day, and that to me is kind of the sign of what you want out of your program when you have let's say multiple tendonitis issues. You want them to get better, because that's a train wreck waiting to happen if you just push the limits on tendonitis. But at the same time, they're not going to get better with just pure rest, because the recovery time on tendonitis is so long. So on a certain level, you can't atrophy your whole body, or the situation will get worse. It may take even longer to heal. And I feel like, this is not really backed by science or whatever, because this is outside of my scope of knowledge, but I have a feeling that because those tendons don't really get blood easily, if you work the muscles near them a lot, they'll get more blood flow, and you'll be more likely to have recovery and healing in that area more quickly. Because I know that when I get serious injuries and stuff in a way where they hurt real bad and everything, and I'll rehab them by taking usually a week off exercise, and then I'll do a week where I avoid that body group, and then I'll have then I'll start coming back with it light the third week, and almost every single time it works the same way. It will recover. It'll start recovering rapidly, and then I'll be back to like normal, and then usually I'll be stronger than I was before by the end of my recovery somehow, by continuing to maintain my progress and not allowing my muscles to atrophy at any point, not going like 30 days without finding a way to use all the rest of my muscles, without injuring that thing worse, but while still allowing it to recover. And sometimes like seriously reducing the volume to where you're just doing enough to wake the muscle up and remind it that that's something that it does. Between all that will provide enough stimulus to maintain muscle while improving mechanical adaptation, like being able to like mentally understand how to move weight more efficiently. These box jumps have been great because it's like the side goal of trying to learn how to dunk. This particular exercise has given me a way to use some of the explosive power from the deadlift, because I'm switching to sumo deadlifts right now because I want to keep my knees from caving in on jump squats, squats, deadlifts, leg press, etc. So I'm thinking if I do sumos, I'll be able to build those rotators up, and that will help me on that in terms of not having my knees cave in. So with that being one of my goals, I'll have to lower the weight on the sumos for a little while in order to develop the skill so that I don't injure my hamstring like I did last time I tried to just lift them as heavy as I normally do conventional, because I only do conventional. So without being able to do super heavy deadlifts, I feel like the addition of these jumps is allowing me to use that same mechanic. Just whatever I didn't finish off in the deadlift, I can just blow out with these jumps, Even though I'm not deadlifting today, but I'm just doing them twice a week amid my programming with the 1 day a week sumos. Now check out in the next, what do you think of Roy, by the way, his camera work on these jumps? He had some pretty good camera angles. Speaking of which, here's Roy on the 30-inch box jumps. Note how much better he's kind of fatigued at this point, but notice how much better his form's gotten in just 1 week. It's like he's not squatting as much and doing more of a hip hinge to jump. And this is a 30-inch box, so that's pretty nuts. Like, comment, and subscribe. I sure do appreciate all your time.